Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Make it in okay?
I got through the snow. Okay.
Mike, so what is going on?
Hard to believe.
It really
in November,
is.
it's snow.
It is.
Good day to stay inside and look at houses.
And it is a lot of fun. We have some things to talk about first, but Fridays when you come in, I often find myself perusing the housing market, looking, and that's kind of a nice. That's kind of a nice.
That's kind of nice, yeah.
Is there a lot of that? The change in the way that people are looking at these houses, the internet, and all that stuff.
Very much so. Yeah, it's pretty much all internet now.
Is that helpful for you when people come with a list of houses? Little backstory on this one. John L. Scott in Shelton sold Stephanie and I our house. Christy was our realtor.
Right.
That is, every so often, I just want to make sure people have
throw that in. Throw that in.
out
Yeah. Right.
And so anyways, we had a fairly good idea of what we were looking at, and some of the homes that we came up with were some of the same homes that Christy came up with.
Right.
And it all seemed to work out quite well for us. And is it helpful for people to bring these houses to you?
It is to me, yeah. Because so often, once you get out there and start looking, you realize that you change your mind on what you're really looking for.
Yeah.
So what you may start out thinking you want may change over the course of the time, but it's very helpful for me to have some idea from the beginning of what you think you might want.
But first things first, you should know what you qualify for on a loan.
Absolutely. That is always the very first thing, because it's so sad, and I've seen this happen many times, where people come and fall in love with a house and then they find out they can't afford it. And that's just really sad. I hate to see that happen. So the first thing you should do is go talk to a lender and find out what you're qualified for, and then also what you're comfortable with. Sometimes people are qualified for more than they're really comfortable spending. So so get all of those issues ironed out before you go out and actually start looking, because especially in this market, you have to be ready to move fast.
Talk about the market. It's a hot one still.
It is still a hot one, and a lot of times I wanted to talk a little bit about the different terms. People hear that it's a seller's market and they wonder what that means.
Sure.
So I have a little definition here that I thought was very good. Right now, according to the latest statistics that I got for the month of October, we have 0.9 months of inventory. And it's been hovering right around that 0.5, 0.6, 0.9 for all summer. So that means that we are in a seller's market, because seller's market is when there are 0 to 3 months of inventory, and we're experiencing a seller's market or lack of homes for sale. Months of inventory refers to the amount of time it would take to sell all the homes on the market at the current rate of sale, with no new listings being available. So that's confusing. A lot of times people hear that months of inventory available and wonder what that means. Well, it means that if no new listings came on, it would take, in this case, 0.9 months or less than 1 month to sell everything that is available currently for sale.
Does it also mean in the negotiation process the seller may have a little more leverage than the buyer, because they can go, somebody else just offered me way more?
Right, exactly. So yeah, there's typically, when there are 3 months of inventory or less, sellers have the advantage, because homes are selling quickly and could experience multiple offer situations. Historically, these conditions drive prices of homes higher. So yes, we're even seeing that in Mason County. Had a couple of transactions where there have been multiple offers, and then the seller can just say, hey, I like this one better, or this one is more, looks like it's going to go through more or better. So yeah, the seller is kind of in the driver's seat in a seller's market. So yeah, so until we get that turned around, it's still a really good time to list a house, because there are more buyers out there than there are homes available. So even in the winter, people question, whether winter is a good time to list. Historically, spring and summer is better, but fall and winter, people still buy houses.
I would contend, as a home buyer, and I think we've talked about this, that the winter is probably the more proper time to look for a house, especially in the Northwest with the amount of rain and now snow that we get. So you get a sense of what it looks like at night.
Exactly.
What is the sense of where the gutters drain to.
Yeah, you're right. It's and as a seller, this is the holiday time, so typically your houses are decorated and look inviting
Sure.
and nice, welcoming people in,
Wanna
yeah.
Make sure the neighbor across the way is not Clark Griswold.
Right, right.
With all the
Or,
lights.
or a bah humbug guy
Right,
on the other
right.
side too. Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's still a good time, and it's a good time to buy too. I mean, so it's give me a call and we can go out there even in the pouring down rain. I can guarantee that I can get through. So just real quickly on the latest market report I got, which is from September 30th to October 31st. In Mason County, there were 20 newly listed houses, and that's actually down 35% from the month before. Month before there were 30 new listings, and now there are 20. There were 23 pending, which was actually up a little bit, 20% over last month. There were 27 sold, and that was up. So that kind of goes along with the active and the pending. If you have more of those, the tendency would be to have more sold as well. So interestingly, the average price of the newly listed house, the median is 168.5.
Okay.
The high is 259.9, so that's of the active listings. Of the pending, the highest was 479, which is interesting. The median was 194.9, so that's quite a variance. And of the sold, the highest was 340, and the median was 195. So that kind of we know that the housing stock in Mason County is pretty widely varied. From you have all the way from the $800,000 waterfront down to the $50,000 single wide. So there's a wide variety available.
Let me ask you this question. I just popped into my mind. If someone's looking for their next home,
Right.
does it more often than not increase in either size or value?
It depends. A lot of people my age are downsizing.
Okay.
So they're wanting smaller houses to take care of. They don't necessarily want the 4,000 square feet anymore.
Yeah.
But growing families, on the other hand, need more space.
I think about it. I guess that's true with the families thing.
Right,
You go from
right.
a sedan, a two-door
Right.
sedan, then you got to move up to the
To a minivan,
or
right.
something like- and then eventually you go back down to the sedan.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And a lot of people now are just in general principles looking for smaller. The whole tiny house
Yeah.
movement is real popular. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's never the same 2 days in a row, which is why I like this business.
Very neat. You were telling me before we started that there's a new, pretty disturbing trend in lending dollars and wire transfers. Tell me
There
about
is.
this.
I was really. It kind of made me sad to get this report. It's a growing problem now of folks hacking into a realtor's email, finding out who their clients are and what title company they're using to hold funds, and then contacting the buyer and with false wire instructions supposedly from the title company.
Yeah.
So their recommendation is twofold. First, to make sure you have the phone number and stay in contact with your realtor at each step of the transaction, and then also know who your title and escrow officer is, so you have a name
Okay.
to go with just the name of the title company, and then to always call before you wire any money. A lot of times now, especially when you have buyers and sellers from out of town, it's just easier to wire funds from one bank to another bank or from one account to another account. So title companies will give you a piece of paper that is their wire instructions, and it'll have their account number, and then you put your account number or a copy of your check or whatever on there. So before you do that, before you go to the bank and actually do that transaction, make sure that you have verified with the title company that yes, they did send you wire instructions. These are the correct wire instructions, and they are waiting for your funds. Unfortunately, we heard several stories of folks losing either their earnest money or, in some cases, their whole payment because somebody got in the middle of that chain of transactions and diverted the funds. So
You
you have
wouldn't see the person really until you sign all the paperwork at the end.
you don't, right? And so it's a good idea to, at least find out the name. And if you can, go into the office and meet them. That's the advantage that we have we have three really good title companies right here in town. So if you're using one of them, you can just swing by and say, hey, I'm Joe Smith and I'm working on this transaction. I just want to introduce myself and meet you and know who I'm dealing with. So, and keep in mind too, that title companies will not change their title or their wire instructions mid-transaction. So if you get an email saying, hey, we've changed our routing number or whatever, be very suspicious of that because they probably wouldn't do that. And if they did, they would contact you directly. So what I usually encourage people to do if they're going to wire is to go into the office, pick up the wire instructions from an actual person, and then take them to your bank and hand them to the bank and say, this is where I want it to be wired. And then by all means, keep all your receipts and all that kind of stuff. It's too bad that we have to worry about this kind of stuff,
It really is.
but we do. So this is the latest thing, so for people to be aware of.
Don, how can people get in touch with you?
They can call me at 490-4493. Have my cell phone, like any good realtor, will have my cell phone with me all the time. Or they can stop in and see me at the corner of 3rd and Railroad. And as I always say, if I'm not there, they'll know where I am.
All right, Don. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Safe walk back to the office, and
That's right.
all this
I
stuff
actually
there.
drove today. It was snowing too hard.
Good safe drive back to the office
yes.
for sure.
Thank you.
Good.